Because
Alright.
mostly the parents are the ones that
I don't know Pusha.
that have got the struggle. Gerazuda, it also when I was growing up, my father he really wanted zero. I don't talk ndakaita se ndakatogera zuda taitogara tichitokikirisana because ndindaenda kunogerwa saka aitongopa mari kuti unodi but dzaingodzoka dzaona mufana atoiswa line apa atoiswa bib apa. At one point I actually even wanted rasta just to mona malocks zvitwe pano hazvitese. So we talk to the parents. Okay. What can you say to them when it comes to this hair thing? Timbobata pabvudzi chete.
I am human, did not feel our pain. Kutendere murume, I see motion. I see motion, kutinda kapa mukota. Kutendere murume ndinende fu I see motion. Tingwenguva ndefuti.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Gota Men's Issues. My name is Lawrence Mazenke, and today I've got a guest who is not new to our program. He has always been here. He came here on one of our programs, and we've brought him back for another program. We've got Pastor Brighton Mapokotera today. And Pastor, welcome to the program once again.
Thank you so much, Pastor.
Thank you so much for coming back, and thank you for the wonderful input that you did on our last program. I'm hoping today you are going to kubatsira shakare, and if our viewers have got any questions or anything that they want to understand, they are free to either comment in the comment section, and we can make them reach up to you. Otherwise, how have you been?
I've been good, and we've been following most of the programs you're doing. They are very helpful.
Okay.
And they've got good substance for the well-being of a person. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So listen, everyone, today we are looking at grooming etiquette or manners development for boys. So we are talking about grooming etiquette, and we are talking about manners development for boys. When you look at that topic, what is it that comes to your mind? What is grooming etiquette, and what is manners development, before we get into deeper issues on it?
I think it's all about bringing out a man out of an ordinary being.
All right.
Like you are a man, you are born with the male organs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe let me use that. Like bringing out a man out of a male being.
Or bringing out a man
out of a male being.
Yeah. Which means you are saying being a male does not necessarily mean you are a man.
Yeah.
There's got to be a way of bringing out a man out of a male being.
Exactly.
Oh, wonderful. So, what are the effects of males who have not had their men brought out of them?
The effects of males that have got the men not brought out of them, there is a lot of confusion.
All right.
The confusion will strike even on the roles and responsibility of a person. They lose confidence. They are not confident of who they are.
All right.
Because they don't have that fiber of the men that they are supposed to be. They are male. They use the male toilets. But when it comes to expressing the manhood, what really a man is, they struggle with that. Then the other effect of not bringing out a man out of a male being is they will end up thinking that they are anything else that their feelings have suggested. They get to be run by their feelings. They get to be run by the community.
All right.
What the community says is what they will think that's the thing to go with. But when they are well groomed, because grooming is all about taking away things that are not necessary and putting in things that are necessary.
All right.
So if we don't take away things that are not necessary and put in what is necessary, what do we expect? Someone who will grow up with things that are not necessary without things that are necessary. Then it will affect the community. You know, most of the problems that we are crying with in the community today, we nurtured them by not nurturing our men.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's something that I had never thought of, the difference between a male and a man. You know, sometimes you automatically think once someone is born as a male, then they've automatically become a man. But now I remember in Zimbabwe there used to be a joke. Kunzi abantu vanonzi varume kwete imi makanyorwa pamatoilets kuti men. All right. Yeah. So when we are talking about grooming and etiquette, there are things that I want to look at. The first thing that I want us to look at is personal hygiene and presentation. When you look at personal hygiene and presentation with boys, there are certain items that you may want to look at, especially looking at the countries that we are now living in. Yeah. Because first and foremost, let's just talk about basic hygiene. What can you talk about? When you're just talking about basic hygiene with boys?
It's really an important topic. As we grew up, some of these things by uncles and other people. A man or a male figure is different from a female figure in that we have organs and we have some odors that come from our bodies, which require special attention from us as we do our things.
Okay.
They require us to pay more attention to those areas. The same applies with the females. That's why there mustn't be a confusion between a woman and a man, because the setup that you have generally suggests a certain inclination on what you are. So when it comes to the basic hygiene, we are looking at the way you present yourself overally, and the way you clean yourself in detail, the way you take care of your organs that you have, the way you take care of the odors that come from you as a person. And then finally, we also look at the oral hygiene, you know, your mouth, your breath. You know, as men, mostly because we also have issues with our breath. So we may need to look at those things one by one and be able to assist our boys and our men from that angle.
Okay. So that's the basic hygiene. Now, when you look at things like, this one is very controversial, things like hair care. Because I'm saying it's very, very controversial because I'm someone who is a bit liberal when it comes to the way hair is taken care of. And sometimes I always clash with my wife because I don't really mind how the boys want their hair. She wants them nice and clean shaven. I tell her this is what the colonialists brought to us. They came to us, we were, especially men, they were never nice and clean shaven. Their hair was always, you know, long and probably yakakamera vachienda kumashure vakaita rasta. That was our culture. Because kwakusitorina makama acho. Nice and clean shaven, for me, that's a colonial mindset. They brought that to us. And then we also then come here, where the kids here, you rarely see a mwana ane pfudzidiki. And I've also discovered kuti vana vedu kana vakaenda kuzvikora izvozvo vakaita senge yesterday vakaita so, they will be bullied because of that. I know zvimambapiwa zvimambama musoro. It's not bullying as in sense of bullying, but it irritates them and it annoys them. So I sat down with my boys, they explained all those things to me. And but even before the explanation, I didn't really have a problem with how one wants to have their hair look like. Because maybe the rebel in me always says, we never used to have zvokugeresa. We never used to have makam. Traditionally, but this is now colonial mindset. What do you say, the conflict there? Okay, let's take it up from there, because the reason why I want you to tackle it is because there are so many. It's a conflict even with so many parents. A normal Zimbabwean parent wants their kid to be clean shaven and nicely shaven. Abnormal ones like me are the ones that don't really care. You, what's your take?
Before I comment, you remind me, there's another place where I was pastoring. I think that was around 2018, 2019. It was COVID. It was COVID.
Yeah.
There was a young man, our pastor, and he had
Locks.
And when he came, at our church, quite a number of people were expecting me as a pastor. I took the young man and I became his friend, and it sparked controversy, even with other people around. But later they discovered that so I think on that part, hairstyle, the other problem we face is ignorance. Tine vanhu vari panext door pedu vana maneighbors edu vane bvudzi rinoyerera
vanotori embrace rakadaro
saka isusu patinotarisa I like there is this other saying yekuti my son, when you look at your neighbor's pot, do not look at it uchida kuchochora zvirimo kuti dai ndazviwana. Look at it with the eye to see if he has enough so that you can assist. That way you are satisfied with what you have. You are not desiring to take what they have. So even with us, if we groom our kids to get to appreciate their hair, really, they can make a choice of their hairstyles based on the knowledge. Like Vudzirarume Africans, it's really different. Kune really soft and not curly. Koita really hard, like mine is hard but curly, and it turns grey. Indakataka kutena grey ndichiri mukomana. I remember ndakatopoza ndatizwa nemusikana wangu tiri pane function. Kauya kamwana kakati sekuru. So I go to embrace. This is the hair that I have. It turns grey early and it's curly. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Mine, even if I try to lock it, it doesn't do dreadlocks. I have to use chemicals if I want to, but it will be a challenge.
Right.
So getting to know the kind of hair that you have, there are others with hair in between. It's not so thick, it's not so soft, but no break so easily if they comb it really dry. So it's important for someone to appreciate the kind of hair that you have. So when it's clean shaven and richinatsokukhela zvakanaka wanatsoribhrasha zvakanaka, it comes out nice. Munhu iye akazoona wepanext ane rakareba kusvika uno akada kuzama kurichengeta anostruggle naro. So it's one other thing that is to be considered, the knowledge of your hair. Invest in the knowledge of your hair. And number two, you also need to get to appreciate the styles that suit you.
That's true.
So
you are talking to a parent, and not to the kid. Let's talk to the parents, because mostly the parents are the ones that have got the struggle. It also, when I was growing up, my father, he really wanted zero. I don't talk taitogara tichitokikisana bose ndindaenda kunogerwa saka aitongopa mari unodi but dzaingodzoka dzaona mfana atoiswa line apa atoiswa bib apa. At one point I actually even wanted rasta just to mona malocks zvitwe pano azvitese. So we talk to the parents. What can you say to them when it comes to this hair thing timbobata pabvudzi chete?
I think my parents Vudzi is part of something that gives someone confidence. When they get their confidence from the way they look. So, Patrukuapama ideas, my hairstyles, Equita, Tinofana Kuta in consultation with them and then guide them to make it clean. Because my logs I kind of Nezha China, but Shanza Asanga Gezwe. But kuna no Gezwe. Are smart, Kanak. So, which means tikashanda ane China torega kusiya option yeanogezwa tadiscourage mwana maybe for something that was going to come out nice on them. Then also kana tichida kuvamisa the generation yamazuvano haidi kumiswa because ndataura inoda kumiswa because there is a valid reason. They want to know why.
Let's sell the idea.
sell the idea. Tell me why I have to stop doing it.
Yeah.
If it is about my religion, then tell me why my religion says I mustn't
do it.
If it is about my culture, yes.
Yeah.
If it is about my culture, tell me why my culture says that. So that in me, because the reason why usually it destroys the aspect. If I don't know why, because I don't know why. I want to see why.
Why?
But if I know why, I've got every reason not to do it. If I don't know why, I have every reason to do it, so that I get to know why.
Get to know why.
So to my parents, I would say, let's try by all means to look at vana vedu case by case. Vana vakasiyana. Then also, patuku dila navo, like you mentioned nyaya vana venyu kuti kuchikoro vanotanga kupetwa musoro. Wangu ane 8 years. That's why, the reason is the rest of the guys around him are doing it.
Yeah.
And I had to sit down with him. No, look, so far, time here, kuri kama kuri geza, and it smells. If you don't clean your hair well, it smells.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you end up having different issues, dandruff, inda, and other issues that will come into play. Yeah. So when we are parents, when we are supporting our kids, let's bring in these issues to them.
All right.
Yeah.
No, that's it's a very interesting topic, because I think it's a bone to chew with so many African parents. They really want to see their kids the way they want. But I loved the statement where you said the way your look, your hair gives you confidence.
Yeah.
Because there's no point in me looking nice and cleanly shaven when it's killing my confidence.
Yeah.
So I need to carry myself properly. I need to be able to carry myself properly. But anyway, enough but I think if we get any much feedback, because I know it's a bone to chew with most African parents.
And also on that one, maybe it's I have seen vanhu vakawanda vanozoita manza vari vana vadiki, because they did not learn etiquette yebvudzi ravo, how to take care, grooming yaro.
Correct.
Kuti if you don't know the type of your hair, you buy shampoo which is used by the Europeans with long hair.
Yeah.
Their texture of the hair is different. The skin is different.
Yeah.
When you use that, your hair can break easily because of the temperatures around you and because of the nature of your skin. Your hair will start breaking easily. So you find there are a lot of people who start having bald heads, not because of the genetics, but because of poor management of the hair. Right. There are shampoos which our African people should avoid, which have got chemicals that work for the other races.
All right.
They work well with their hair. So you don't buy it because it's used by my boss, but you have to buy it because it works well for you. That's one other thing that I wanted to contribute on that.
All right. Yeah. That's a good one, Pastor. And then let's go to the clothing sense. Let's get to the clothing sense. What do you think about that?
With the clothing, it's also another area that brings confidence. There is a church where I visited this other day. From my background, when I'm going to church, I have to be in a suit and formal attire. So when I was invited to that church, I took my jacket, everything. I felt out of place. I was out of place. Everyone, including the pastor was actually in jeans and a t-shirt, wearing sneakers. And everyone in the church was just dressed down.
And you were overdressed.
I was overdressed. Yes, that's where I was going now. Just like with clothing, the time we are living in now, especially when we are in these environments, let's make sure we train our kids to know what to wear when. Because there are functions which can say strictly formal or semi-casual. So a person, a young man, should have at least a range of clothes that suit in different occasions, different functions. When you have got a sporting event, put on your sporting attire.
Yeah, but before we talk about dressing according to the function, how can parents adjust? Because the truth of the matter is the formal today is different from the formal yesterday.
Yeah.
My kid can be asked to wear formal and he's in his suit with checkies, sneakers. That's the fashion and the trend today amongst young people. But if you are a parent who is not very well exposed when it comes to the fashion trends of today, you chase down your kid and say, go and wear properly. Yet, when they get there, everyone else will be dressed the way they... So I'm saying, how can we as parents adapt and understand the fashion trends? Because the truth, like you spoke about that church, the first time I attended a service at Planet Shakers, it was a men's conference. I felt very much out of place because the pastor was wearing a skin jean and sneakers. You know, when we talk about mbambamba, rangarakabata, nema sneakers, they didn't have a problem. And Australian culture, they dress down. They don't dress to kill. They only dress to kill and bizarre and everything. But every other occasion, those people dress down. That's their culture. So if you even want the church to be successful here, we have to be a little bit adaptive to the culture which we are in. Rather than we bring, remember, it was the British culture that was brought into, it has nothing to do with Christianity. It was the British culture that was brought into Zimbabwe. As you know, at 40 degrees, nobody's ndakasunga tie. Because culture yakandita yemabritish. Iwe iko zvinezvi ukaenda kwa vachasunge chi. Isu ndisitasirwa tie yayi. And remember, kuri kubva culture yekusunga tie, the temperatures are very low. UK. The way I'm in Australia, it's 40 degrees. You want me to sunge chi? Look at it, even as parents sometimes, because right now we are actually showing that we are not adaptive. No, tawea environment ekuti kunopisa. Why would I go kuchechi ndakasunga tie in 38 degree heat? Kana uri wodona ukafenda. How do you have a tie and a jacket opinda building out kunesa aircon? So we are saying kuti tikatadza kuzvi addressa izvozvo either at church level or even at traditional level. Togara tine ma conflicts nevana. Because vana, they are going out there vanoziva zvinoswera zvakapfekwa nevamwe vavo and everything else. So how can a parent then adapt? How best can a parent see the fashion trends at that point in time?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, especially due to the fact that I'm also a parent. So we are seeing these things. I think we may need to be having events for parents where we can talk about environmental, not environmental, social changes, like the environment where we are in, the standards of the society where we are living in, what to compromise and what not to compromise. Because as much as we have things that we have to hold on to, we also have things that we have to let go. Remember, we said on grooming, it's all about taking what's necessary and letting go what's not necessary. For us to groom a man, a young boy to a man, if you are a parent and if you are a couple in a house, you need to understand that you are grooming a young man who is in Australia. You may try to groom a young man who is in Zimbabwe, but he will not find a place in Australia.
That's true.
So as my parents, we also need to look at that fact. And the other fact we need to look at is to allow vana vedu kuti vave vana. At some point, let's allow them to be kids.
Yeah.
I remember isusu chikura waipfekedzwa formal waipfekedzwa suit formal shoe one's belt one's tie.
Exactly.
You know,
what
is like an old man in a young man's body. And by then it was okay because the environment we were in,
it was permitted.
It was okay.
Yeah.
But ukatora mwana wako now, ukampfekedza that way. Yes, you will be structuring them to think along a certain direction, but at the end of the day, they may get frustrated by it. They may end up hating your culture, hating even your values. So there are things that we may need to take in and things that we may need to let go.
Yeah.
But it's important to know what to let go, because we may let go of the foundations. So it's very important. And lastly, I think ukatarisa the trend, it's important sema parents kumapota chigara pasi nevana, especially vakomana, sababa ungotorana kana nemwana wako kana vari amai muri kureza mwana, you are a single mother, kumbotorana nemwana wako, go for a cup of coffee muri two, mumbotanga kutaura general nyaya, but what's going on in the world, guys, how is this treating you? How are you seeing this? And the more you talk about those things with them, they will open up to tell you, Dad, these days people are dressing like this, people are dressing like this. If you know the problem, because some of the dressing, it's not all the dressing that we have to embrace. Some of it, even a marketing strategy of other things that are not of our value.
Musician arungopfekera stage.
Yes. So we need to. When I'm talking to my son, I can explain to him, you know what, son? This is just a stage performance. You will never see this celebrity wearing this attire at the shopping mall doing his groceries. No, they don't do that. Why? Because it exposes them in their values. They still have the values of the stage and the values of the society as you walk are different. So all those things we need to mention them to our kids.
All right. I remember I don't remember where we were with my son, but I just asked him women that were passing. You know, these days people go even into the supermarket with those small skin tights. You know, things that are like underwears. So I was asking him, would you ever allow your wife to walk outside like that? And he said, not in 1,000 years. Which means they reason, they see. We spoke and we discussed. Someone had just passed and we discussed and said, look at that. Is that kind of dressing that you can allow your wife to even go out in public?
And you'll be proud of.
And he said, no, I'll never do that. But he's here. No one has taught him that. But we need to respect the fact that they are the reason. So let's talk to them and let's discuss and sit down with them.
And also, if you look at, as my parents, when we are teaching them these things, let's find examples. There is no harm in taking your iPad or your phone, Google, show them the different types of dressings. Because with them, they search within their environment, show them the different types of dressings and how relevant they are in certain areas.
All right.
And the way they matching the clothes, you know, even including the recent trends, how they work and the advantages of all those things.
Right. Now we go to the shoe etiquette. This one is very critical. I have kids who play soccer. Vanopinda motikari bhutsu dziya panofa munhu. So naari kupesana atakomana mupfekere bhutsu mumota, munoti maakupinda mugraundi modzika motikari mupfeka bhutsu dzenyu kupinda mugraundi, mapedza graundi pfekai bhutsu modzoka kumota. Handidi kudziona motikari. So the shoe etiquette, how do you address that? Zvawanda izvinezvi taakupfeka dzimwe bhutsu dzisina masokisi, taakudai. How do you?
It's really a serious topic. Haingobati kuvana chete. Kune madzimai ari kutochema chako mudzimba.
All right.
There are women that are complaining.
Harume.
The men's feet. I used to have that problem. I was actually helped by another doctor.
All right.
At times it's good to be vulnerable with our experiences. I had that. My wife used to struggle with that.
All right.
And I had a doctor who then taught this subject, and from that time there was a shift, a huge change. It was like I went for a surgery, but I'm still the same person.
Okay.
So what makes the feet to stink, to be smelly, is the sweat and the bacteria that gathers together, and then there can be some fungi. You end up having fungal diseases. Kutsoka.
All right.
This I'm forgetting the name. I was having it in my head, where you start to crack in between your toes, and if you are not careful, you end up having wounds in between. Shoes will be painful to wear. So you need to take time to study on the grooming part of the feet. Number one, do not wear your shoe when it's wet inside. Wait for it to dry. In the event that you have cleaned your shoes, wait for it to dry.
All right.
Number two, if the interior part of your shoe requires stockings, because some of the shoes that are worn without stockings, they have got a pad that acts as a stocking within.
Right.
If their padding will be having that kind of material which absorbs the sweat. So even if you wear it without the stocking, it will not smell because the pad will be absorbing. But when you have such kind of a shoe, it's not a shoe that you should wear every day, today, tomorrow, because the pad needs time to breathe,
to dry, and
okay, so that it releases the whatever it had captured, so that when you wear it, and after some time you have to clean it. Then number two, you need to make sure that you don't wear shoes that need stockings without stockings.
Okay.
Make sure you use stockings, and my socks, the underwear, you don't repeat those things. Because underwear and then
and so when it comes to underwears, how do we deal with our boys? Because like sometimes you get surprised when you hear issues of underwears, even maybe amongst couples. But when we grew up, the policy was maybe that's the show. Watch underwear. So it's something that has been instilled in me, like even up to now. Whenever I take a shower, I'm washing my
underwear.
But there's to my washing basket.
The underwear. It is okay, just one washing machine.
How do we groom our boys? How do we groom our boys? Towards this say kuti vasvike ipapo pakuti vanonzwisisa kuti an underwear bogez era ipapo iboita sei
watch. I think it's not kuti that's risho mavundis. That's exactly what we have to do.
All right.
Because what happens with the underwear is ukasaiwacha pawaibvisira ukaisiya mumba, whatever smell that is on it, ichazara the whole house. So you end up having some odors that are coming from everywhere, and you're worried, is there anything that died in this house? Yet it's a heap of underwear. It's your dead cells that are now bringing the smell. So it's important we teach them to wash. Boys, we teach them to wash, telling them the reasons.
All right.
Like to say, look, number one, if you wash your underwear as soon as you take it off, it's not going to be affected like Shansa washing machine, damp. There is nothing that irritates like it irritates. Whereas if the belt of the trousers is okay, but the underwear is going down. It becomes funny because you'll be holding in between the trousers and you're trying to pull up. So it's something that we have to tell them that it's ideal for you to wash it, hand wash. As soon as you take it off, wash it. Then the other reason is you don't want your room to be smelly. Just wash it. And at times it happens that you have gone to the toilet, maybe you didn't wipe well. It can happen.
Yeah, accidents do happen.
Accidents do happen. At times, tissue project. When you don't have good resources.
Exactly.
Then you are left with just a small piece. Then you just wipe. It's in a public toilet. You can't tell
nothing
anyone.
You can do.
There's nothing you can do. Then the remains go to your pant. You leave it in your house.
Also, no watch a washing machine as well.
It becomes a problem. So we need to teach them all those things.
All right.
And we tell them the advantages and the good part of it. I'm sure it will help. And we start with them from a young age. My son, he knows you have to wash. I tell them I don't have to do it for you. Wash. Even when they are young and they are not yet able to make it so clean, I'll then follow up and assist, but they have to do it.
All right.
Yeah. Then coming back to the issue even of the feet. After every bath, when you are washing, make sure you clean in between the toes.
The toes, yeah.
Kuto, cleaning thoroughly in between the toes. Then after cleaning in between the toes, you take your towel, you wipe it dry. So at times when you wipe in between the toes, you'll start seeing some whitish stuff coming out, like the dead cells.
Yeah.
If they are not removed, they will smell because it's the dead flesh. So the moment it's a dead body, anyway, it will start smelling. So you need to make sure you clean in between the toes thoroughly. Then the other thing that you need to make sure you do is to cut the nails of your toes regularly. Make sure you do it properly and you keep them clean.
All right.
Then the last point I can contribute on that is avoid walking on wet surfaces barefooted, then you wear your shoes.
Okay.
It's one other thing that causes the feet to smell. So it's something that our boys need to learn.
Okay.
And we need to sit down with them and tell them intentionally, taking my son and going for a walk with him and telling him these things, and even doing practicals with him at home to say, look, especially when they are young and I'm still able to take time to bath them, I can make a day where I say, fine, today I'm bathing you. After that, I show him how to do it thoroughly. I do it properly with him.
Yeah, so maybe I'm going to zvinonekera boss kuti ndichagezana nemikono yangu ndakatomboti rimwe day ndaenda kunomutora kuchikoro muombe wacho sandomirira panze akatondifonera akati hanasi chitopindai mukati tikati kokaitike icho kanza ndabhutsu ko munhu ari kuhigh school andisitaura munhu ari kuprimary ko bhutsu aenderi ndabvisa ndishamba bhora mhene andongabhutsa ndikati achifamba nemasokisi kutoya panze muturare kutoti hanzi unozonzi usafamba pakanyorwa wozopfeka kuchikoro ikoko mumasora imomo because masora anenge ane moisture ari kutamba bhora nemasokisi achipedza obva apinda zvake mubhutsu saka I don't know vamwe titori nebasa charo but anyway I think that's all we can talk about on the basic hygiene. Now, I want us to go to the manners and etiquette. That one is a very my issues are very controversial with Papa. The first one that I want us to start with is the greetings and eye contact. Because that one, the reason why I want us to talk about that is because kumusha takadziswa kuti vanhu vakura vatariswe mumaziso muno vana kuchikoro even when they are talking to the teacher vanonzi look at me, eye contact. Saka tiri kudzidziswa opposite zvokuti even madays andakauya kunoko I was not very comfortable with most of the little ones because vaikukwazisa vakakutarisa maziso yet isusu kauchira takanzi munhu mukuru aite sei munhu mukuru atariswe mumaziso.
Disrespect.
Yeah.
If in any, I'm a few years here in Australia. I was still struggling with that.
You see,
I was still struggling because I was finding it weird.
Yeah.
You want me to look you in
the eye? How is that?
I have to respect you.
Yeah.
But I had to learn from my daughter. She had to tell me she's 9. She had to tell me, no, Dad. Here,
that's the policy.
We have to do.
Even when you're looking at the teachers, look me into the eye. Yeah.
So what I had to do is to explain to them our cultural side, kuti vave knowledge yazvo. kuti in the event yekuti vaenda in an environment like they've gone to the rural areas, they have met our parents there, and they tell you, you don't look, they will not be offended.
Oh, all right. So the explanation is for them not to be offended.
To be offended.
All right.
Not to change. It's not for them to
change, but not to be offended.
Yeah.
Because vachatsiurwa.
Yeah, because expecting them to change, at times we make it difficult for our kids to live in two worlds. Living in Africa and Australia at the same time.
Yeah.
So we need to strike a balance. Things that they can work with, which do not harm their values, we allow. Yeah. Things that pertain to their values, they are transferable. What's good in my culture is also good even in the Australian environment when it comes to manners and customs. Like speaking respectfully. Those are transferable. Using the words like of respect, greeting people with respect. Those are transferable aspects. So I take what's good from my perspective, from my culture, I groom it on them so that they can transfer it even to the Australian environment, or to the whatever environment that they are in. And that will help in that when they go back home, they will not be corrected on everything. They've got one or two things
that they can also
do.
All right. We now there are two words that are often used here in Australia: the word please and the word thank you. Isusu kuZimbabwe ndikapinda mshop ndindoda kutenga, I'm the customer, I'm the king. Ndoda mabiscuits kutongomupa mari, ndipe mabiscuits. Kana kandamza mabiscuits ndotora mabiscuits angu ndotodi. Ndakutoenda because ndamupa mari. Kunoku utoenda pa McDonald's. Urutanga wati please. Kana azokupa zvakofti what kuti thank you. Apa customer is king, but uchansa please, uchansa thank you. How do we, because I find that one, it's very good. How do we, I don't know whether kunevana vedu vemunomu havantu zvigona, but kuvanhu vakuru tozvigona kuzvisase, because inogona kutojamba vana, because I think vana vedu please na thank you vanogona vachitomushandisa zvakanaka. Kuvanhu vakuru toita sei, because ananga akangojaira ngoti the reason why ndichida kunyanyofarira kushandisa hey is because I was listening to these other kids vatoshanda kuMcDonald's. Cannot let me not mention haisi McDonald's ameno kwavanoshanda, but vaishanda kumashops anotengesa chikafu. Vachitaurirana kuti inini munhu akangoya akangoita rude chete ndiri pakaunda ndinosvipira chikafu chacho. And people always say kuti don't be rude to someone who is handling your food. Saka please na thank you vantu kushandira. Zvokuti unobva kwagutu kusingaitiwi please na thank you. Please na thank you pano pafana kutomboshandiswa. How do we instill that even to parents, to adults? Kuti mana zvangonaka ngora, can I please have this? And kana wapiwa what watch? Thank you.
Yeah. On that one, I also still learning. Several times I'm reminded by my daughters, did you forget to say please?
Yeah.
So I think the other way to instill it to them is for us as parents to empower our kids, to remind us. Let's make it fun, but whilst learning. It also makes our kids feel better. To say, I have a contribution that I've made to my parents. The kind of parenting that we have to do now is different from the old school parenting where we were scary people. We need to have a balance. I need to be firm but friendly. So that there is a blend of the two. So parents can make use of their kids to remind them. Learn it as you make fun. You know, as you have fun, you start learning it. You can start doing it even at home, like you're joking. But the more you repeat, I trained in the police force back in Africa. There are things that we were meant to keep repeating.
So that they are in your system.
Yes, sir. No, sir. The word say to the point that by the time you leave the training depot, everyone is say. Anyone who is wearing the uniform say. You won't struggle to
calling anyone say.
Yes, because you have been repeating and repeating it. So even if you start having fun at home, yes please, can I have a cup of water?
No thank you.
No thank you.
Yeah.
You know, doing those jokes with them But the more you do it,
it's being instilled
it's
in
being instilled in you. And even in our social gatherings, as old school people, when we meet, let's make use of those things. As we joke, even let's say you're an MC, as you joke with those things, you are reminding the other parents, say, no, there is this word, please and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we need to keep reminding ourselves, even with those that make skits, making those.
Keep reminding ourselves.
Keep reminding ourselves of that. Yeah, we will be learning, including me. Yeah.
No, that's a good one. The other critical issue, this one is very critical, especially amongst African, the issue of respecting personal space. This one, I say it's so critical because I've seen that we even as adults, when we meet as Zimbabweans, we don't respect personal space. When I'm talking about personal space, I'm not just talking about distance, but I'm talking about maybe respecting even what I've given you. If you meet me and I say to you, my name is Lawrence Mazengi, are you okay sticking to that, to the information that I've given you, rather than you now trying to know ndinoshanda kupi, ndine mukadzi ere, kana ari mukadzi, une murume ere, une vana vangani, ukauya kuno kurini, kumusha unobvepi, mutupo unoera chii. When you meet a Zimbabwean in 5 seconds, anongatoda kuziva zvese izvozvo.
Yeah.
But you are invading my personal space. There are certain things that let me volunteer with my information rather than you wanting to take it out of me. The reason why I'm saying that is because I've seen that happening. Even there are some people who would then say, even church, I don't go to a Zimbabwean church because I'm a single woman. The next thing you do is church, you are introducing yourself. And also, uchipedza church vanhu saka baba varipi, munonzi mayani. You get it. So if you are not married and you don't have a husband, vanhu vasikana vasati vakatombororwa vanhu vachibvunzwa izvozvo, and it's offensive kuti ndakutoradzika samai here, ndatokura zvokudaro. And then, so how do we help people to respect personal space? Kuvana distance chacha, I think kuzvikora vanototeachwa kunzi ufana kunge uri within a certain distance of a person, respect personal space. So there's physical space, and then there is, I don't know what to call it, is it spiritual space, where you don't really need to pry into my business. Within 2 minutes you have already asked me, ndakajika chine zuro, what do I do, and so forth. How do we do that?
That one is it's very interesting. I think it needs a great deal of emotional intelligence. Because taking it from the African perspective, let's say us as Zimbabweans, we thrive so much in community relations. So what makes people to say when they meet someone, they want to know, like Mtupo and stuff like that, they want to try and establish relationship. And you find that there is a funeral where I went and someone said, the moment this person knew that I was of this totem, they took me as a close relative. And here in Australia, they became my relative. So you find at times, from the old school perspective, they are coming with that aspect to say, the moment I see a black man, I remember personally when we were working at the mall, the first day I saw a black person, I was so happy. He was on the other escalator.
I'm not going to
I did that. And,
I met a guy here at our park who comes from Ghana. And he said to me, are you from Zimbabwe? I said, yes. And he said, Ndeipi. And then I said, why are you doing that? Because you Zimbabweans, every black person you feel like, you think kuti Zimbabweans, Ndeipi. So
that's what I did. And for me, it was like I've seen a
fellow brother.
So I think there is that aspect as well, which we may need to use a great deal of intelligence when teaching our kids.
Because for me, what I feel, Pastor, hazvina kushata kuwana all the information, but let there be a connection.
Yes.
Ukaona kuti I'm not volunteering the information, don't poke it out of me.
Yes.
It's our culture, yes, toda kuziva munoerei munozodi tozonyana tishandisa izvozvo futi. But let there be a connection. If you ask me if I just give you my name, Don Lawrence Matsengi, that's it.
Yeah, you need that intelligence.
Yeah. So how can someone have the intelligence to sense kuti I don't have to ask much.
Yeah.
I have to ask much.
I think the best is to give time.
Okay.
To give time to everything. I've met you for the first time. I must not get everything.
That's what I'm saying.
On the first day.
Yeah.
I have to build like that kind of a relationship. Some of the information will start coming out on its own as we proceed as we relate. You know, you start hearing someone say, as I was playing with my kids, then, you've got kids. And my wife, then, you've got a wife. My late wife, he's late.
Your wife is late. Yeah.
My boyfriend, you're not married.
Yeah.
So some of this information will come with time. But there are other people whom, when you meet them, and they are the ones who start by opening up. Say, I'm sorry, and so I do this. You also have your right not to disclose what you don't want to disclose.
Yeah, so if you have opened up to me, that's not a guarantee that I have to open up to you.
Yeah.
Because why am I saying that? Yes, we are a community, but I feel like sometimes we are abused in the name of mitupo, nechiji. I remember a guy I know is gonna post wake kubasa. This is a true story that happened. Akatipa mai wake otichi. Mai wake vanga vamushanyira from kumusha vauya kutaundi kwaanoshanda. Vakati mai imimika bosi wanga anoera moyo kupi kubasa uko. Saka imi nhasi ndauti mutonyepa kuti munoera chiyo moyo. Because anondishungurudza murume wewe. Saka maybe pakaita sokuti pane kahukama zvinoita chi? Zvinoita light. Asvika kubasa. Ndobva atoti kuna bosi muri sei? Boss is moody as usual. Zvikanzi vama moyo vari kupi? Kumba. Anzwa moyo ndiani? Mai vangu zvi. Mai vangu ndi mamoyo. Mai vangu ndi mamoyo. Ndi mamoyo. Saka uri muzukuru wangu, ndiri muzukuru. Bosi kwakutopika phone, kwakutofona. Vama moyo muri sei? Ndini bosi wemwana uyu kuno kubasa. And so forth and so forth. And amai vanga vatochunwa ndokutodetemba mutupo moyo uyachirandu what. From that day on, relationship yakabva yachinja kubasa zvakashanda, but there was a deception. So I'm saying tinogona kutodeceivana nemitupo yacho as well. And vanotaurawo spiritual world vanoti varoi, they use that agoni kukuroya asina kuziva mutupo wako. All those things we do. But what can we how can we know the boundaries? That's where the point is.
Yeah, I think your boundaries are very important to know. And you have rightly said it, that you need to know that it's not a guarantee when I open to you.
I will open up that you should open up.
I should open up. So having that kind of intelligence, and even us learning to find a way to say, no, I'm not comfortable to say that, and not getting offended, and also being able to say, I'm not comfortable to say that, and still smile with you, and still laugh. You know, it's one other thing that we need to learn in our emotional intelligence. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Pastor. Now, because of our time today, we are going to end here. And next week, we'll do a part 2 of this conversation. We are going to look at the social skills development and also look at the situational etiquette as well. But thank you so much for joining today. Next week, we are going to have part 2 of this program. Thank you so much, Pastor.
Thank you, Baba. Thank you for the time. Thank you, viewers and listeners. Yes, this other day I was taught by someone that when you are addressing, don't only address viewers, because you have got others who have got
listeners.
Listeners.
Okay.
So I want to thank our viewers and listeners for the time.
All right. Thank you so much. Viewers and listeners, thank you so much. Let's come for the part 2 next week, where we continue with this topic. Thank you.
feel our pain. Kutendere murume emotion. I see motion in the Gota. Murume